Hello, I am Jeffrey Zielinski, co-founder of the Serviceberry Group and host of the Branch Network podcast. Joining with me today are my friends Ashley and sister-in-law Hannah. We have a pretty interesting episode today, but before we go too far into the weeds, I think we would like to extend a quick thank you. So, Hannah?
We want to say thank you guys for watching and sharing the video out to friends and family. We've heard a lot of good feedback so far, and we want to keep it coming.
Yeah. I speak on behalf of the whole group. Like, the outpouring of support was just unbelievable.
Yeah, amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't think I expected it to be so well received. And I know going into it, we had a lot of positive feedback, a lot of people who were looking to volunteer and help us get this off the ground. But seriously, on behalf of all of us, thank you. Thank you for doing that, Hannah. I mentioned that this episode is pretty interesting, and really the way that we got here, if you remember, was every topic that we were thinking about, every conversation we were having, what we found woven into that was the sort of emotional element, the feelings that you go through, good, bad, or indifferent. And we thought it might make sense to just carve that out and talk about emotions, talk about feelings. And I'll be the first to tell you that's probably not the easiest topic to go with, because it kind of leaves you vulnerable. And so what better way to launch our first, formal episode with something that's going to make us feel pretty uncomfortable, and really kind of open up the doors to I think a more natural, more organic conversation. And again, the idea of the Serviceberry Group, the idea of the Branch Network podcast is to get people to feel welcome, to feel included, to have that sense of vulnerability so that we, help each other out. So anything to add to that, or do you want to kind of just jump right into it?
Let's jump right into it.
Yeah,
sure.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think
awesome. Well, I guess I'll start. I mean, I can tell you, and the reason that we did this platform too, with the three of us, is three different points of view, all kind of on the same journey, or at least a similar journey. But we want to kind of give different points of view because they're all valid. And I think out of the gate, that's something I'd really like to emphasize, is that no matter what you're feeling, how you're feeling it, the emotions that you go through, they are 100% valid. You're entitled to feel the way that you feel. Go through the emotional sort of roller coaster that is part of this journey. Because again, I think so much of the time we think about some of the not so great things, but we'll find in this conversation a lot of celebratory aspects of this as well. One of the things that I experienced, certainly Patty experienced, was the sort of shock element. And we felt that really in a variety of capacities along the way. Before diagnosis, we certainly felt levels of shock as it related to our son's behavioral outbursts. And now, mind you, he was a COVID baby, so there was very little to compare him to from a sort of social point
That alone
of view.
is crazy. Like, having a baby during COVID is wild.
And he was our first.
Yeah.
So we had, nothing to stand on, no experience, and you don't want to do like the compare and contrast thing, but, from like a practical standpoint, it helps a little bit, I guess you could say. So we didn't have any of that. And so, so many times we're like, well, maybe this is just behavior of a kid, or, just kind of going through the motions. Again, everyone was locked in their house for effectively years.
Yeah.
And then you go through the whole process. You started in a preschool, a private preschool, and within a few weeks, we knew it wasn't working. We knew it wasn't working within a couple of days, probably. And again, there's that shock again, where you kind of have this vision of how you want things to go, and it doesn't go how you plan, right?
Yeah.
Then you go through the process of getting the evaluation through the public education system. Shock, right? A lot of feedback, for us, in our case, it was a lot of new experiences, new conversations, things we hadn't dealt with before. Alongside that, we were going through the actual neurological diagnosis. And as prepared as I felt I was,
You're not.
you're not. You're not. And I'll tell you that feeling of shock is not uniform. One of the things that we candidly struggle with is like lack of sleep. Our son is not an infant anymore, and sleep is still particularly challenging. So literally happened last night where, I can tell you it's 3:12 a.m. and you wake up to these sort of blood-curdling screams. Shock. The first thing that happens is your heart starts to race. You shoot up out of bed. You're in the middle of sleep. And so that feeling of shock really hasn't gone away. Maybe it's presented itself in different forms, but going through it as a parent, it is stuck around, and it's something that I feel like no matter how prepared you are for whatever the circumstance is, there's always going to be some element of shock. I'll actually ask you, it's a little bit of a different point of view, but given your medical history and some of the things that you went through personally, like, do you share any of that? Is there any element of shock? Maybe not when you were going through it, but to the extent like the aftermath and things like that, does that apply to you at all? Or
I don't think it was shock. It was shocking to have a stroke so young. So I'm I was like, why did this happen to me? I was questioning it. But yeah, I was like, in the beginning, I was so upset and so sad because you're kind of grieving who you were, the person you were before your stroke, and the person you are after the stroke. But I would say sadness first, and then you kind of go through different stages, like sadness, grief, and then accepting, and then try to be happy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I practically live here.
Right. But that's true. You do witness it.
I do. I witness it on a daily basis. So
and
I agree.
I think so much of it too is so unexpected.
Yeah.
Some of the behavioral outbursts, some of the things
you just never know.
Exactly.
It's so unexpected.
Exactly.
Everything.
Exactly. Kind of going down this maybe not so good side of the emotional spectrum, I'll tell you another sort of vulnerability is the denial piece of it. And I will tell you with every ounce of my integrity, denial is something that I've struggled with. I remember even prior to our son's diagnosis, Patty is the one whose spidey senses kind of went off first. And it was speech in particular. The behaviors we thought were maybe not exactly normative, but it was the speech from a sort of occupational or, sort of developmental point of view. And I'll be the first to admit, I was like, he's 2.5 years old. How many words could you expect him to know, right?
Yeah.
And then you go through, and it's like, all right, well, then let's get a speech evaluation. I'm sure we'll find nothing. And of course, they find something, and tell you he's behind in some cases pretty severely. And even still, you hear this from a pathologist, and there's that element of denial of, well, what do they know what they're talking? I know they've been doing this for decades, but what do they know, right? And then you start to get the services, and even still, even though you see the progress made with the services, there's still, it almost in a way captured that denial. So I'm like, see, he's fine. Nothing to see here. And I still carry a lot of that because in so many ways our son has so many skills, and
he's improved so much.
Exactly. And while I'm grateful for that, there is always that sort of lingering denial. I remember that it was occupational therapy. His motor skills weren't great. He was mighty clumsy. I was like, he's a boy. Whatever. I'm still
so are you.
Right, I'm still pretty clumsy. And you get this multi-page document kind of going over all of the shortfalls. And again, here goes my mind, and this is, maybe a year removed from speech and seeing the improvement in speech. I'm like, they're just trying to find a billable, whatever it was. There's always this sort of lingering feeling of denial, of skepticism. And maybe that's just my human nature, but that's another one of those feelings that is just kind of always stuck around. I don't mean for it to, but I just have always felt that there is just this element of, well, maybe, maybe what you're telling me is not actually true. Now, of course it is.
Yeah.
And I know that it is. Like you said, Hannah, we've seen enormous amounts of progress, enormous amounts of just ability to achieve certain goals, maybe in a delayed capacity, but
on a small scale too. It's not huge wins, but we see every day small wins being made.
Yeah.
Which I think makes a huge difference
Yeah.
in the long run.
You're right. And that's a good point. I think as parents, we actually talked about this in the episode that we did, like, like the kind of goal setting piece of it. Like, obviously you want to have big goals, but you kind of have to take those baby steps. And so even as things have opened up, and we've been past COVID, 6 years now, you kind of, you sort of do the compare and contrast thing, even though you try not to, and you see elements of it. And it becomes a little bit more of a clear picture. But again, just it's always something that just sort of whispers in my ears, and I don't mean for it to, but it does. I could tell you, really getting kind of deep here. Even there's been certain times feelings of guilt. I think I prepared myself pretty well for a diagnostic outcome. And even still, I'll even back up, right? When we were going through the process of getting a neurological diagnosis, I cried a lot. I cried a lot. Because
Jeff cries a lot to begin with.
First of all,
he's a very emotional person. I just want to throw that out there.
Footnote.
Sorry.
I wear my heart on my sleeve because I'm a loving,
Sorry, I had to say
deeply
it.
emotional person.
They had to know.
Cried on my wedding day.
Sobbed.
I cried for the birth of each of my children.
Sobbed.
I cry when they come home with like little crayon things. I cry over everything, but I cried even more during this process because there was just this part of I did something wrong, and not to try and big I'm not scared of much, but like being a bad father, being a bad husband is certainly something I'm terrified of. And when you're going through this process, and in our case, it was behavioral aggression. There was bouts of defiance, of behaviors that you're trying to rationalize something that's not rational, I guess is maybe a good way to put it. And you're trying to pinpoint, well, it's because I did something, or maybe I lost my cool. Yeah, maybe I did something wrong. It's the food. I mean, you go through this process of trying to figure out all of these different things, and I'll be honest. I'm a pretty reflective person, as the emotional side of me will tell you. Again, you're seeing a trend here that sticks around. I'm a parent. I'm a human. I'm imperfect. I lose my cool. Yeah. There's times where at the end of the day, I just look back and like, gosh, I missed the mark today, or maybe I shouldn't have done that, or just go back to basics. What works? And again, you feel guilty about it. Maybe not because I'm like a terrible person, but because I think it's a natural propensity to just want to do the right thing. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if you see it at all, or if you guys have any like feedback on that. But these are deeply these are deep emotions, and they're things I think from a vulnerability perspective that you kind of have to face head on. And I would tell other people feeling this way, and maybe a million other verticals of feelings, that it's okay.
Yeah, you're valid to have those feelings.
Yeah,
100%.
You are.
I'll tell you maybe I'll leave it here with the sort of bad stuff. We can go to some
please.
some good ones.
This is depressing.
But again, I think it's important because I know, having felt so isolated through so many parts of this process, like you almost feel bad to feel this way. You know what I mean?
And it's not talked about a lot too, so that's why we're talking about it. That's why we have a community.
And I feel like it's good to actually feel your emotions and go through them, because when you feel them, you feel better afterwards too. I feel like you need to like sit with them
Yeah.
and actually feel it.
Instead of just shoving it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not
You know,
feeling them.
that's a good point. But both of you, I don't know that I'm coining anything that's particularly groundbreaking, but like I've had this like, it's like this concept of like emotional adaptability, because something that I have definitely observed, I'd love to hear your thoughts on your journey, and again, you being so involved in our life, like no 2 days are the same.
Oh.
No 2 weeks, no 2 months,
Yeah.
no 2 minutes are the same. It is a roller coaster.
Yeah, your emotions are roller coasters.
Yeah, and being on this journey, sometimes that roller coaster is heightened, and so you can't there's like, I feel like there's no experience that's linear, not just because sometimes it's sporadic in nature, but because you can go from celebrating, like you said, so like a small win that to us is huge.
Yeah.
You know, writing a letter. I remember
Yeah.
when he first wrote a letter, like we were
Tears.
literally crying.
I doubt you.
Crying. And that was such a big win for us. And you know, God knows 15 minutes later I was probably wanting to pull my hair out because like, you know, for whatever reason, right? So like, again, on your journey, not maybe, you know, related to a special needs child, but like that sort of adaptability, the ups and downs. Like I'd love to hear your point of view, and you too.
Yeah, of course I have like my bad days, and like in the beginning it was so difficult for me because I would even like tell my mom, like I would get so upset. I'm like, why can I not do this? Like things that were so easy before my stroke, like for instance, like I love drawing and I love painting, and it affected my right side, which is my dominant side. So just like simple things like writing, even now it's like slower and it's as neat as it was before, but the progress I made, I have like journal from when it happened until like now is like huge. It's such a big difference. But like in the beginning, I had my bad days. I'm like, things that were so easy before, and I'm like, why can I not do this? I'm like, and two, I was like, I'm so young. I'm like, it was hard to accept. So I cried a lot in the beginning when it happened, and
We cried together.
Guys, I got the tissues in the back.
I know. But yeah, like I think I'm in a good place now where I'm like, it took a lot of my confidence away too, pretty much all my confidence. So I feel like I got that back. And I'm slowly getting back. I don't want to say my old self, but kind of feeling and doing things I did pre-stroke.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I can't say what I'm gonna say without talking about my faith, because that's really important to me. So like, I know my emotions change every day, but my faith remains in God, who is the same every day. So to me, that's very grounding, and all my hope is in that, you know, and that's where my faith is. So.
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you got to find something that grounds you.
Yeah.
That kind of brings you back to that, I don't call it place of neutrality, but, you know, you kind of drift too far one direction or another. You need to have that place that brings you back. And obviously, you know, faith is important to all of us.
Yeah.
I think you're right. You know, you said something that it actually kind of runs parallel about, like, you know, the skills and, you know, how you maybe lost some skills and gained some back. Like in our experience, like, again, especially as things started to open up and we were able to go to the park, which was tough, you know, and you're starting to really see like how behind certain milestones are. But then when you again hit those wins, it's like it kind of getting a little bit of your mojo back. It is such a back and forth. It's such a pendulum with virtually everything that you go through. It could be kind of exhausting if I'm being completely honest. It really can be. You know, all that said, I think a perfect segue into the bright side of things is you know, how empowering all of this can be.
Yeah.
The journey is bumpy. A lot of times we don't know what's being thrown at us, but those little wins, they turn into big wins, and it's extremely empowering. And I think a big reason that we're doing this work is because we want other people to feel that sense of encouragement, of empowerment, that you could take these issues head on. Because I'll tell you, there's just some days you just feel so down in the dumps, and that was true even in the beginning. But there is such like a victorious side of this that I think really just needs to be celebrated. I remember when we started making the phone calls after our son's diagnosis. I remember one of the first things Patty and I was saying is like, all right, well, it's time to get to work. It kind of gives you that mojo to roll up your sleeves a little bit. I think, you know, you being so involved in our life, like you jumped right in. Like it was
anyway.
Right.
Like,
no matter what it was. And I think there's real joy in that. Being able to celebrate together, being able to tell each other stories. Brought us
closer together, honestly.
I think so. I really do. It brought us together as a family. We've kind of rallied around one another. I think our friendship it was pretty strong to begin with. I mean, I don't know how much better friends we could possibly be, but like through your journey, I feel like we've bonded even more. Take even Alex and Ricky first. Like I feel like they've become an extension of all of our friendships, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you guys agree, but like it's really something else if you kind of think about it.
I know. It's very true.
From like a victorious point of view, there's nothing better than there's nothing worse than walking into an IEP meeting. But
oh, here we go.
Maybe not nothing worse, but they're unenjoyable generally. A lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. But I'll tell you what, from a victorious side of things, and especially the parents that have deal with this, there's nothing more rewarding than walking out of an IEP meeting. Individualized education program.
Thank you. I was going to say something.
Then like getting that service, or getting to a place where like everyone like leaves with a smile on their face, but it's a ton of work to get to that point. I don't know if you guys have any comments on like the work aspect, but so much of what we do involves a lot of work, I know in your journey it's been nothing but work, but curious to hear from both of you.
Yeah, in my journey, I'm doing physical therapy, I'm doing occupational therapy, I was doing speech therapy, I was doing cognitive therapy. So we're doing all this. Like, I'm not doing everything right now, but when it first happened, my stroke first happened, I was doing all that therapy. And then I went back to work part-time, and I was still doing therapy. And now I'm back to work full-time, and I'm doing some therapy still. So it's exhausting because I'm going to work full-time, and after work, I'm trying to fit in like occupational therapy, physical therapy. The gym is like therapy for me. So it's like, it's so tiring because there's so much. And at one point, I was like, Mom, I feel like all I'm doing is like I have appointments like every day. And I was like, it makes you crazy, you know?
It is appointments after appointments.
I was just going to say, Hannah knows better than anybody.
Literally.
Just the sheer magnitude of intervention, of appointments.
Yeah. Every day there's people here. It's kind of a circus, but a good circus.
Hannah has to help us get to different... get the kids to their play groups and sports and
I try to help out where I can, but I see my nephew putting in tons of work every day. And one thing I think he has really enjoyed was karate. I love watching him go to karate. It's so cute.
He's got to get his balance a little bit better.
Yeah.
But by a little bit, I mean a lot better.
Working on it.
We're working on it. It's a work. It's a work in progress. Yeah. But actually, if I could point to you, because you brought this up even in the opening, like all the work, all of the experience. Because again, well, maybe in your case it's a little bit different. But like I'm the parent, you're the aunt. We're trying to help a child, meet his needs. In your case, you're working to meet your needs.
Yeah.
You had mentioned it in the opening episode. You know a lot about this and some of the work that you do, but like all that work, all the therapeutic intervention, every day is filled from sun up to sundown.
Yeah.
But for us too, like it gives you like such a sense of patience. Such a sense of candidly like being more sensitive, being more tender, because I don't want to go through that on a day-to-day basis. You're going through it, and a child is going through it. You witness it. Again, love your feedback, but like you mentioned it just kind of builds your own sort of character and perseverance.
100%.
Yeah. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up gratitude. What's been really so special to me, to Patty, probably to both of you, been the amount of people who have dedicated their lives to the betterment of these kids. The team we have that surround our son, they're just incredible, absolutely incredible. Part of the reason we did this is because we felt like if we have access to these amazing people, like, and there's other amazing people out there, like, let's give them a platform to talk about, you know, how we can help people achieve their goals. I am positive you've seen it in your experience. You see it day in and day out in our lives. Would love to get your points of view on it, but you have to have a sense of gratitude, because without these people, without the services, without the sort of academic endurance that they have met with the sort of caring, compassionate relationship orientation that they have,
it surprises you how many people are out there, because you're like, on a daily basis you see so many people that are doom and gloom, but they're out there.
And I feel like you have to be like a really special person and have the empathy to do the jobs that people are doing. Like therapists and, like, let's say for instance, like teachers or aides, like, you really have to be a really special person to do that and have like patience. And like, I feel like too, when you're doing something like that and you're in a role, it makes you feel good, because it makes you feel like you have a purpose in life. You're doing something good in life. It's noble. It has purpose. It's noble.
And I could go on and on about the people that have come into our lives just because of, you know, this journey that we're on. It's like they're heroes, you know. I mean it. And, you know, my son has made so much progress in such a short period of time. I give a lot of that to him, you know, because he is working so incredibly hard through thick and thin. Virtually every single day has some sort of intervention. And hats off to him for being a young boy and putting in the work. But the people that have created the environment for him to thrive, I can't say enough about it. I really, really can't. Something else I'd like to touch on, kind of want to go to you. Hit on it a little bit. Is like, you know, we're talking about our emotions, our feelings. You had mentioned it to me when we were putting like our notes together for this about like, you know, how about him? And like, and you mentioned the change, and so I'd love to just kind of get your point of view on that.
Yeah, so for me personally, like, change is difficult, I think, for anyone. Like, change of environment, like, it's just uncomfortable. So now put someone with special needs in that position. My nephew, like, going through different schools, new teachers, new aides, just everything's so new and starting fresh, I think.
Constantly.
It's just starting over. It's just hard. It's difficult.
I don't like change. I've been making the same Folgers coffee every month of my life for decades. And if even that is thrown off, I'm probably going to be somewhat grumpy. But you're so right. You know, I think it's hard for us. You have a different lens, but, you know, putting ourselves in the shoes of the people going through the work and putting in the effort have to endure the change again. In my son's case, Hannah mentioned it, like, it's been 4 schools in 3 years.
It's crazy.
I lost count of how many aides, and it's every change spurs on new challenges. And sometimes those new challenges are actually revisiting behaviors in the past, but they come back with a vengeance. And it's, how could you blame the child? You know, he can't control the environment that he's in. And so that's one of those things where, you know, I mentioned shock. I mentioned, you know, this sort of adaptability, this ups and downs. Like, these are the types of things that just, you know, are almost like ordinary life for us. And it's challenging. It's enormously challenging. Love to hear from both of you if you have like any other thoughts on like the ranges and just like, you know, we think about like emotions and vulnerability. I think it's important to give people a sense of like, again, first of all, perfectly valid to feel the way you feel. We're certainly here for it. We want to be a place of community and being.
This is why we're here to talk it out.
Why we're here. But again, I'd love to hear from you if there's something that you think I missed, or just like your own personal journey and points of view on why this is like such an important topic, and really kind of going to be our launch pad for some other topics we'll be going through.
No, I just think like for me, like feeling your emotions and your emotions you're going through, you have to validate your emotions. Like if you're sad, if you're happy, if you're grieving, like it's really important to actually feel those emotions and kind of go through them, because if you don't go through them, I feel like you can't move past them. So yeah, I think
So yeah, exactly. I think you're only going to be able to go through it if you've gone through it.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that being able to talk about it like we are, and even like it brought, like we said in the beginning, it brought us closer together to be able
100%.
to share these feelings together and go through it as a family. I think it really just brought us closer.
Yeah.
And I think another thing is too for me, like I have different like groups in Instagram, or like I went to support groups. So it's really nice to be able to relate to people who've been through what you've been through, and they understand like what you're saying, because you can say to like family or friends, it's kind of like, okay, you can like tell them how you feel, but
They didn't
like,
actually go through that.
yeah, they don't go through
Yeah.
it. So like it's nice having people kind of understand what you're going through.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that. So I was just introduced to somebody we're actually going to have on the podcast. I won't, spoil the secret, but she had made that almost exact point.
Yeah.
I think we had talked about it in different mediums, like you only can experience or understand completely unless you're actually, you have to be living it or being a part of that or being a part of the community. But she made such a good point that like, you have to think about it, I'm going through it as a parent. You're borderline parent 2.0.
Kind of.
You're living it, but you're also our closest friend. And so we all kind of have these different opinions, but there's siblings. There's other family members. There's grandparents. There's aunts and uncles. Some people are close. Some people are less close.
Yeah.
And to have that sense of, again, I call it community, or, to be able to just have a sounding board. Again, it's part of the reason we're doing what we're doing, but it not only validates what you're going through, but it goes back to what you said, like you're going through it.
Yeah.
How do I get to the other side so I'm either at peace or, have been able to, handle the sort of ramifications of the feelings and the situation that you're going through.
Yeah.
Again, I'll be the first to admit it could be downright exhausting, but it really does help make us all so much better and so much more close. That's why I think it's important. I would argue, maybe it's the last thing I say, unless you guys have anything else, is that this is probably not going to be the only time we talk about this.
No.
Because it's infinitely wide. I mentioned it before, like every day I go through probably 9 million different emotions.
He's always talking about topics that he could talk about. I'm like, save it for later.
Right. But the emotional piece of it is going to be woven into all of that. So we'll probably talk more about this. I think this is a good place to start. But again, I would encourage people, if there's, a specific topic or a specific, range of emotions or things that you've gone through that you think are relevant, reach out to Hannah, reach out to us, let us know. We're glad to incorporate that, because we really do want to talk to everyday people too. And
We want to hear from you guys.
Bingo.
Can I share something else?
Go for it. Go for it. Yeah. No.
So, I told you about this. So last week I traveled to work and I presented to 30 people. So in the beginning, after my stroke, I was so self-conscious about my voice and how I sounded and so much. And then I really gained my confidence back in the last couple of years, and presenting to like a team of like 30 people and being in front of them, we were like presenting like in front of people, a group of people. I felt so proud of myself. I felt so accomplished. So I just like it made me even more confident.
It's so rewarding.
Yeah,
Small
it
wins,
is.
guys.
Yeah.
Small wins.
That's a pretty big one.
That's a really big win.
Something. I could actually look at that. I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I can actually look at that from a different point of view.
Yeah.
Because I love to talk. If
No, we
you
know.
haven't
We
figured
know.
it out, I love to talk. I love to be in front of people. It's not uncommon for me to talk to hundreds of people a clip, give pretty big presentations on Zoom, in person.
Okay, we get it.
I love
You're
to,
cool.
I'm very, very cool.
No.
And I'll tell you from a different point of view, something that's always and always will be on the back of my mind is this.
Yeah.
Right? What's going on at home? What kind of a morning did we have? And in the beginning, it was grueling. Absolutely. You lose all your confidence. You feel like you look tired, bags under your eyes. You haven't gotten a haircut in weeks. Started shit looked horrible. But the reality is that was just a default response to just the sort of struggles that we were having. And so to a certain extent, I almost lost some confidence. I almost felt like, do I even want to do this anymore? I have so many other things that are important in my mind. Is this really what's important, is giving these big, public speeches or presentations or whatever? And I had to gain a lot of that back. And it took some time. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise, but the sort of work from home environment kind of allowed me to get back into that element using Zoom. I'm literally in gym shorts right now, and so
You didn't need to say that. I mean, the people didn't need to know that.
well, you don't know that. Maybe some people will. I bet you somebody
I
was
don't.
wondering.
I have jeans on. I'm professional.
Somebody was wondering.
Just let you know.
Somebody was wondering. Gym shorts, Reeboks. But I did. I had to regain that skill.
Yeah.
And, talk about, wanting to get back to something that I did well. I enjoyed speaking. I like to talk, if you guys haven't figured it out. It was almost like the opposite end of that example. And there was so many different things like that, like mountain biking. But, you feel like, at least in my instance, there was times I felt like, no, Patty would beg me, go ride your bike or go play basketball.
And then she stopped begging you because you fell off your bike so many times and came home with bruises.
Oh,
Sorry. Had to say that too.
Yeah. Well, I wear a helmet.
Thank God.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I almost broke my arm. It's a
no.
whole thing. But you get to
Different
I'll tell you, I got to this point where, and Patty would beg me, just, go ride your bike or, go play whatever it was, right? Don't break an arm. But I would honestly be so sour about things, so down about things. I felt like if I wasn't there in the moment, then I just wasn't, I wasn't good. I wasn't being a good dad or, a good husband. And it took me time, and I still work through it. If we're having a bad day, I want to be present. I want to be involved. I want to be hands-on. But sometimes you just need to just be able to say, all right, I'm going for a bike ride. Thank you, Patty. You go get your nails done or go, hang out with your friends, whatever it is you want to do.
Whenever
go for
I
a
heard
walk.
Jeff was on a bike ride, I'm like, uh-oh.
And I think it's so important to have you time to
Yes.
kind of refuel yourself and I don't have kids. I mean, I have fur babies, but
Fur babies. They count.
Yeah. But just when I get home from work, just having me time or going to the gym, having me time, getting my nails done. So it's really important to have that time to yourself. And it's makes yourself feel good and more confident or whatever brings you. It brings joy.
Yeah.
Well,
thank God for people like Hannah who enable us to do that sometimes. He's showing up to take the other kid. But it's not always, it could be my other
Come
kid.
here.
Right. Patty and I, funny enough, we're actually talking about doing an episode together about us time because you need that. You
Yeah.
need,
That's cute.
yeah.
You should.
I think we're going to. We'll get there, but to that point, you do need it. You need rest. You need the opportunity to decompress, reset, and then you're
it makes you better.
energized. You're better. You can get back, to get back to battle, for a lack of better words, because it is. It's so wide. It's waking up in the morning. It's waking up in the middle of the night. It's schools. It's going to the park and, that feeling of, gosh, is he going to make a friend today? Or,
Normal daily activities are just...
You said it. It's literally everything.
Everything.
That you have to think through. And some of these things, maybe You don't mean to, but you do. And you know, at the end of the day, like, I think of it this way, especially thinking about it from a parental point of view. You know, I mentioned the word battle, but like, you know, we're advocates. You know, we're fighting every day, and it takes some level of endurance and stamina to be able to endure that that battle, that you know, that advocacy to be able to push through. It's exhausting, it's tiring. There's moments of sadness, of feeling defeated, but there's also those moments of absolute joy, of the reward, the light at the end of the tunnel. And we are the ones that are advocating. We are always going to be the ones putting our foot forward to fight the best fight we can for the people that we love. And that ties deeply into the emotional piece of it, because I think I could tell you so many times I just wanted to say, you know what, whatever they say is what we're going to do, but it's the worst thing you can do. And you have to find that sort of mental fortitude to be able to push forward.
Fight.
It is. It's a battle inside your mind, your heart, your soul. But at the end of the day, it's for the betterment of the people that we love. In this case, my son, because you know they'll throw everything at you, but if you're equipped and you're ready to handle the sort of emotional warfare that you're going to go through, the other side of it, I would say 99 times out of 100 is worth it. Any closing thoughts, my friends?
I don't think so.
Well, we're 41 minutes into it. That's pretty good. As always, thank you so much. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe.
Subscribe.
Comment.
And reach out to us. We want to hear from you guys, so make sure you're contacting us.
Yeah, reach out and be on the lookout for more of our content. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to join us on our next episode, the Branch Network Podcast. Take care, everybody.